Welcome back, everyone, to another deep dive. This time, we're taking a look at Unlimit.
By Danny Flood.
Yeah, by Danny Flood, exactly.
I've heard some good things about this one.
Yeah, me too. And it fits right in with, kind of what we like to explore here.
Definitely.
So Danny Flood, if you haven't heard of him, he's a world nomad,
Okay.
online entrepreneur and author. He's kind of like all about this idea of helping people break free from their limitations. So he's
Yeah.
been featured on tons of podcasts, and his book is basically like this toolkit for anyone who wants to get rid of those self-imposed barriers, and, supercharge their productivity and just design a life that has more freedom and purpose. We're going to be talking about things like polyphasic sleep, AI-powered productivity, mastering willpower.
All the good stuff.
All the good stuff, yeah. Should be a pretty wild ride.
One thing that really struck me about Danny Flood is he actually lives this stuff. He doesn't just talk about it. He's not just some writer who's...
Armchair quarterback.
Exactly. He's out there doing it, experimenting, pushing his own boundaries. You can tell these insights come from real experience.
Yeah, I agree with that. And me, I'm always up for a challenge, especially when it comes to, pushing my own limits and figuring out how to kind of get better and optimize. And so what I'm really interested in is, what is the core message of this? What's the big idea that Unlimit is really built on?
Well, I think the foundation of the book, and honestly something a lot of people struggle with, is this idea that we are our own worst enemies. It's our own limited thinking, our fear of the unknown, of change, self-doubt, all those things that really hold us back.
Yeah, it's like we're standing in our own way.
Exactly.
I know I've been guilty of that for sure. But Danny, he really seems to believe that everyone is capable of extraordinary things.
Yeah.
It's just about breaking free from those mental chains that we put on ourselves.
That's exactly it. And what I really appreciate about this book is that he doesn't just talk about dreaming big. He gives you the strategies, the tools.
The how-to.
The how-to, exactly. Actionable advice that you can use.
Yeah.
It's perfect for entrepreneurs or anyone who's serious about designing their ideal lifestyle.
Okay, lifestyle design. That's a concept I love. But before we dive into all the practical tools and tactics, I'm kind of curious about the mindset shift that Danny encourages.
Yeah?
Because he talks about, embracing discomfort, even failure.
Oh, absolutely. He's got this whole thing about amor fati, this philosophy of embracing and loving whatever life throws at you.
Okay.
It's like radical acceptance, but even a step further. You're not just accepting it, you're loving the challenges, the setbacks, because they're opportunities for growth.
I gotta be honest, I struggle with that. I get discouraged really easily when things don't go my way. This amor fati thing, though, it's a powerful way to look at it. But do you really think you can just shift your mindset like that?
Danny certainly thinks so, and he shares this story about a really frustrating experience he had in Bulgaria. He ends up having to pay for a broken vacuum cleaner he didn't even break.
Ugh, the worst.
Classic travel mishap, right?
Yeah.
Total frustration. But instead of letting it ruin his trip, he used it as a chance to practice what he preaches. He found the humor in the situation and focused on what he could learn from it.
That's a good point. It's about choosing how you react to those curveballs. But Danny doesn't stop at mindset, right? He also talks about this power of visualization and modeling successful people.
Exactly. He uses this really interesting example of Matthias, this young knight who wants to be like his hero, Martin. And just by constantly visualizing himself, embodying Martin's qualities, Matthias actually starts to develop those qualities in real life.
So it's not just thinking about it. It's like seeing yourself achieving the goals. And somehow that mental image can actually help you.
Yeah, he connects it to the science of mirror neurons, which is fascinating. It's not just wishful thinking. It's actually training your brain for success.
Huh. That's really interesting. I'll admit, I've always been a little skeptical of visualization, but when you connect it with the science, with the mirror neuron, it's like, okay, maybe there's something to this.
Right. It becomes much more compelling.
Yeah. So it's combining mindset, visualization, and then obviously taking those concrete steps towards your goals.
Right. And that leads us into part 2 of Unlimit, where Danny really dives into the practical tools and strategies for optimizing our bodies and minds for peak performance.
Peak performance, I like that. He even gets into polyphasic sleep.
Oh, yeah, polyphasics.
Where you sleep in those short bursts throughout the day.
Mm-hmm.
I've always been curious about that, but I don't know if I'm quite ready to give up my 8 hours just yet. But before we get into that, tell me more about this whole modeling successful people thing. Is it just a matter of picking someone you admire and trying to be like them? Or is it a little more nuanced than that?
It's definitely more nuanced. He uses Mike Tyson as an example.
Okay.
Tyson idolized Muhammad Ali, right?
Right.
But he didn't try to copy Ali's fighting style move for move.
Yep.
It was about tapping into Ali's confidence, his charisma, that unshakable self-belief.
So it's more about identifying what qualities make someone successful?
Exactly.
And then figuring out how to cultivate those within yourself?
Yes. Take inspiration, but find your own path. And that's really what Unlimit is all about, isn't it?
Yeah.
Empowering us to reach our full potential, whatever that looks like for each of us.
Okay, I'm feeling that Unlimit energy already. So
Yeah.
we've got the mindset, the visualization, the modeling, and now we're going to get into all the good stuff, the practical tools for optimizing our bodies and minds. I'm ready to unlock some potential. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Okay, so we're diving back into Unlimit. And, last time we were talking about some really interesting concepts like willpower and mindset and visualization, modeling, all that.
Yeah.
Really fascinating stuff. But I want to get into some of the nuts and bolts about optimizing our bodies and minds for peak performance. So where does Danny take us next?
Well, he starts off by talking about sleep, actually. Polyphasic sleep, to be precise.
Polyphasic sleep. So that's where you're sleeping in like multiple short bursts throughout the day instead of one long block. Right. I've always been curious about that, but I have to admit, it always seemed a little extreme to me.
Yeah. It can be, but Danny actually breaks down different polyphasic schedules.
Yeah.
And explains the benefits and the challenges of each. Like, there's the everyman schedule.
Okay.
Which is one that's gotten pretty popular because it gives you more waking hours, theoretically, without sacrificing health. Which, of course, can be really appealing if you're all about maximizing your productivity.
Yeah, I mean, more waking hours. Who wouldn't want that? But I have to admit, I'm pretty attached to my solid 8 hours.
So when it comes to optimizing sleep, whether we go full polyphasic or not, what's the core principle here? Is it finding the perfect schedule, or is there something deeper going on?
It's more about understanding and working with your natural circadian rhythm.
Okay.
That internal clock that all of us have that regulates our sleep-wake cycles.
Because when we try to fight that, it can really throw things off. But if we can figure out how to align our schedule with that natural rhythm, it can really have a huge impact on our energy and focus.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. I've definitely noticed that I'm just way more productive at certain times a day than others. Like, my brain just has peak performance hours,
Exactly. And Danny even talks about the different chronotypes. So are you a morning lark or are you a night owl?
Right.
And how knowing that can help you really fine-tune your schedule for maximum productivity.
All right, so paying attention to our natural rhythms is key. But Danny doesn't just stop at sleep, right? He also gets into some pretty hardcore productivity hacks and mental frameworks.
He does, yeah.
To help us really maximize our output.
Yeah, he introduces this concept of the productivity pyramid.
Okay, the productivity pyramid. I like the sound of this.
It's a tool for prioritizing tasks based on their impact and value. The idea is to focus on those high lifetime value activities, the things that really move the needle, that have a lasting impact.
I love that. High lifetime value. Can you give me an example of that?
Sure. Think about Henry Ford's assembly line. It totally revolutionized the auto industry, right? It was a system designed for efficiency and success over the long term. It wasn't about quick wins. It was about sustainable systems that are going to keep paying off in the future.
Ah, that's such a good example. But in our own lives, it can be really hard to know which tasks are really those high lifetime value ones. I mean, everything feels urgent in the moment.
I know, right?
So what tips does Danny give for figuring out which ones to prioritize?
He suggests organizing your work into themed groups of activities.
Okay.
So you can really get in the zone and make progress on specific projects. And he also emphasizes the importance of using downtime productively. He talks about how he actually wrote sections of Unlimit on the Bangkok SkyTrain.
Wow, on the SkyTrain, that's impressive. And I love that because it reminds me that you really can be productive in those little in-between moments if you just kind of shift your mindset and use them intentionally.
Right.
So it's about prioritizing those high-impact tasks, focusing your energy, and then also utilizing those little snippets of time that we all have throughout the day.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm with you so far. But it's not just about the practical tactics, right?
Right.
Because Danny also gets into these mental models and heuristics.
He does, which I think is so important.
I've heard those terms before, but I gotta be honest, I'm not entirely sure what they mean. Can you break it down for me?
Sure. So think of mental models as these frameworks for understanding the world. Like they're the lenses through which we view information and make sense of things.
Okay.
Heuristics, on the other hand, those are more like rules of thumb that help us make quick decisions, usually based on past experience or patterns we've observed.
So mental models are like the big picture.
Yeah.
And the heuristics are the little on-the-ground decision-making tools.
Exactly. And Danny, some really interesting examples of how these mental models and heuristics can apply to all sorts of different areas of our lives.
Yeah.
From business to personal relationships to, even creative problem solving.
Okay, so it's about having these mental tools available, knowing which ones to use in different situations, and then using them to make better decisions to navigate all the complexities that we face.
Yeah.
I'm with you. This is all really fascinating, but I feel like my brain is starting to get a little full here.
It's a lot, yeah.
There's a lot packed into this book.
He's got a lot to say, yeah.
And we've only just scratched the surface, because I know one of the most intriguing aspects of Unlimit is how Danny weaves in the power of AI.
Yeah.
And not just as a productivity tool, but as this force that could really change how we live, work, and create.
Right. He calls it AI Zen, his framework for that.
Okay, AI Zen. We touched on that briefly before, but I'm ready to dive in now. What exactly is AI Zen, and how can we use it to really enhance our growth and our potential? Okay, so we're back, and we're ready to explore what I'm calling the final frontier of Unlimit.
Okay.
The future of AI.
Right.
Last time we were talking about AI as this powerful tool for productivity and personal growth.
Yeah.
But Danny takes it a step further.
He does.
And really pushes us to think about how AI could fundamentally change our lives and really society as a whole.
Yeah. He starts by looking at this science fiction series called the Culture series by I.N.M. Banks.
Okay.
And it basically imagines this utopian society where AI is just deeply integrated into every aspect of life. So humans are free to pursue their passions.
Yeah.
Resources are abundant, complex problems are solved, collaboratively with the help of advanced AI.
So it's like Star Trek, but with even more AI.
Exactly.
Sign me up. But I'm guessing the message here is a little deeper than just like, AI will solve all our problems and we'll live in paradise.
Yeah.
What's the takeaway that Danny wants us to get from this Culture series?
I think it's about shifting our perspective on AI.
Okay.
Instead of seeing it as this threat, this thing to be feared, he wants us to embrace the potential of AI to enhance our lives and to solve some of these big challenges that we're facing.
Right.
The Culture series shows us a potential future where AI and humans can collaborate and coexist.
Okay.
Not as master and servant, but as partners.
Yeah, I love that idea of AI as a partner.
Yeah.
It's like that saying, technology should be a tool, not a tyrant.
Exactly.
But as much as I love that utopian AI-powered vision of the future, I gotta admit, all this rapid advancement in AI, it can be a little unsettling.
Oh, absolutely. It's moving fast.
It's moving so fast and it's hard to keep up.
And it's hard to know.
And it's
like what it all means.
Yeah.
What it all means and where it's going.
And Danny acknowledges that, he doesn't shy away from the potential downsides.
Right.
But he also believes that the potential benefits are just too great to ignore. He calls for a balanced approach.
Okay.
One that embraces innovation, but proceeds with caution.
That makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Being aware of both the possibilities and the risks.
Yeah.
But how do we actually navigate all of this?
Right.
Like, where do we even begin to wrap our heads around the potential impact of AI on our lives?
Well, he introduces this framework for thinking about AI that he calls AI.
Okay. AI is in. We've mentioned it before.
We have.
But I'm ready to dive in.
Okay.
What exactly is AI Zen?
So AI Zen is all about speed and adaptability.
Okay.
He argues that those who can learn and evolve quickly, they're going to be the ones who thrive in this new era.
Right, because it's changing so fast.
It is.
We have to be able to keep up.
Yeah, and he also talks about this growth hacker mindset. Okay.
Constantly experimenting, testing new ideas, looking for those unconventional solutions that can give you an edge.
Okay, so AI Zen, it's about being quick, adaptable, and having that growth hacker mentality.
Yes.
I like that.
Yeah.
But with all this talk about speed and innovation, I also wonder about simplicity.
Yeah.
Is there still a place for that?
For sure.
In this fast-paced, ever-evolving world.
Absolutely. And Danny actually argues that simplicity is more important than ever. Because complexity can be paralyzing.
Right.
And when we focus on simplifying our processes, our systems, even our thinking, we create this space for creativity and innovation to flourish.
So it's about cutting through the noise and focusing on what really matters.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. I can definitely relate to that. But I'm also curious about the bigger picture here.
Right.
What Danny's thoughts on the potential impact of AI on society as a whole?
Well, he's cautiously optimistic, I'd say. He explores the potential for good and bad. AI could be used for both.
Of course.
But ultimately, he believes that it's up to us, both as individuals and as a society, to guide the development and use of AI in a way that benefits humanity.
That's a lot of responsibility.
It is.
But it's also really empowering to know that we have a say in how this all unfolds.
Right.
But I gotta be honest, it can feel overwhelming.
It can.
To think about all the potential implications of AI.
Yeah.
Like, where do we even start? What can we as individuals actually do to ensure that this technology is being used ethically and for the greater good?
Well, he brings up this really interesting concept called the insight multiplier effect.
Okay.
Which is all about using AI to aggregate knowledge and insights from multiple sources.
Okay.
And he believes that when we leverage AI in this way, we can come up with solutions that are just more innovative, more effective, and ultimately more beneficial for everybody.
So AI as a tool for collective intelligence.
Exactly.
I love that it's not just for personal gain, it's for the collective good.
Right.
It's like that saying, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
Exactly.
I think that really sums up Unlimit.
It does.
It's about recognizing our interconnectedness and using our individual potential to create a better future for everyone.
It has been a journey.
This deep dive has been incredible.
Are you right?
We've covered so much ground.
We have. From
the practical tools and techniques to the philosophical concepts to visions of the future shaped by AI. It's been thought-provoking, inspiring, and a little bit mind-blowing at times.
A little bit.
Yeah. Hopefully it's left you, dear listener.
Yes, dear listener.
With a renewed sense of possibility and a desire to explore your own unlimited potential.
That's what we want.
So what are you waiting for? What limiting beliefs are you ready to shed? What dreams are you ready to chase?
Good questions.
What impact are you ready to make on the world?
Go out there and make it happen.
Go make it happen, exactly.
The future is yours to create.
And as Danny Flood reminds us, the only limits we have are the ones that we set for ourselves.
That's right.